Well, here we are with the old 2012 ES350. I've renamed it Frank because it's kind of a Frankenstein at this point. It's no longer a Lexi, so I guess it had a gender excursion or whatever. But been driving it. It's been absolutely fantastic. The car drives great, runs great. I've got a scan gauge in it now, so I'm monitoring all the systems. Everything seems to be really perfect from a runnability and drivability standpoint. I've yet to get it fully aligned. I checked it with my alignment tool, and my ichrometer was pretty good. I've got it with about a 1/16 toe in right now, which I think is pretty close. The only thing I don't know is front to rear, because I haven't strung it. But steering wheel straight, drive straight, doesn't pull. The automatic headlights, the moving headlights, they work a treat. I did change the headlight bulbs to stock, as I didn't like those other ones. It's got a lot more light now, and I don't like that blue color. You might hear the dog barking in the background, because she chewed up her collar the other day, so I have no way to put her outside. So she's sitting in a crate at the moment, so she doesn't tear anything else up. But something I have noticed since I got the car, the first drive, when we took it out, it was raining, and the wipers were kind of wonky. This car, it's the most complex automobile systemically that I've ever owned. It has auto headlights, as you might expect. You turn those on, and they come on with the sun sensor up there, which is also wonky. I got one of those on order, and I'm going to try to replace that eventually. That's this little guy. You might be able to see in the reflection. It's down there in front of the speaker. But they work good. But it also has automatic windshield wipers. You see, we got mist, off, auto, and I guess on, low and high. So basically this thing, when it's off, obviously it's off. But if you pull it here, it's not intermittent like most cars. It's actually got a rain sensor up here and behind the mirror, and that's got some sort of infrared doodads in it that detects rain on the windshield. And that sort of worked, but not really. And then as I drove it a little more and a little more, now you can see it's, you know, it sprays. We've got nothing unless you go into high. Then it'll work. But now, before it used to go into low and it would stay in low, or it might do auto sometimes. But now it's just high only. No mist, no nothing. It kind of went into low there and then stopped. If the windshield is well lubricated by rain, it'll have enough force to kind of move the wipers. There it goes. All right, now we got it parked. But that's a problem. So I had thought when it was just the automatic function that was kind of screwing up that maybe the stock was bad. But now that we've gone into full wonk mode where it will only basically run in high, thinking it might actually be in the drive system. So I've got the other car sitting behind there, and that's my new camper. We'll do a walkthrough on that eventually because it's ridiculous. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go pull the cowling and stuff off of the junk car just to see how this comes apart before I attack the good car. And then I'm going to go get a wiring diagram and try to figure out how this thing gets controlled, because I tried to look it up in my scan tool and I was unsuccessful. There doesn't seem to be any way to check the wiper stock outputs, inputs, or like a self-test of the wiper system in my scan tool for whatever reason. There may be in a factory one, but I could not find it in the Think tool. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to wander over to the other one, take a look at it, and see what we need to take apart to, you know, figure out how we're going to get in there. Alright, well, it doesn't look too bad. Obviously, I mean, that's a 14 or 13, whatever, to get the wiper arms off. The wiper arms are monstrous. And then, looks like a couple of plastic things here and here, and I don't see much else. So we're gonna go get a couple of tools and see what we can get into. I don't think I'm gonna have this kind of access in the good one. I need to get this off because that's a good ECM. Looks like it's 310s. I need to get that off of there and get that inside, because no need to get that ruined sitting that out in the open, because that's a good unit. Alright, so yep, the wiper arms are 14s. Those are little Phillips head plastic fasteners, and it's still pretty down, but I think you can pull it forward and kind of pop it up. There we go. Oop. It's got a connector over there. Yeah, a little nub that connects into there. And then, what's holding it on? Oh, got some parts that go under the windshield. There we go. Set that on this other disaster. Alright. Well, heck, that's pretty simple. Oh my goodness! What in the world? Oh my! Oh my! I bet the air conditioner wasn't working good on this car. Holy crap! That is hood lining, I think. That's your cabin air filter. Oh my goodness. Holy crap. Doesn't smell too bad. I bet they were wondering why their air conditioner wasn't that great. Wow. Okay. Alright. So, okay, well that's pretty simple. 1, 2, 3, 4 10mm for that whole thing, and it's rubber mounted, nothing special. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wires going to the motor. This appears to be a sealed unit, so I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure how this mounts. It may mount from underneath. So I don't know if it's possible to just change the motor. Feels like there may be fasteners down under there. We'll see once we get it out. Toyota, she's original. But yeah, so now this is much simpler than I expected. Obviously on the other car you're going to have to take all your other panels, the beauty panels off. But really simple to get that cowling off, so that's kind of nice. But now I got to go and figure out if there's a way to test these wires on the other car to see if it's getting the signals that it's supposed to. I want to go see if there's a way to do that. Because, I mean, obviously I can fire the parts cannon at it because I got this car, but if I can't, you know, if I can just confirm that the signals are good, then I know I don't have to jack around with the switches inside. And that just comes out of this harness here from inside the car, or somewhere. Yeah, it looks like goes over here, goes down over here, goes in there. Got stuff going to the ECM, so who knows how this is controlled. It also goes over to here where the fuse box is. A lot of stuff. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to go do now. I'm going to take a few minutes, go get a wiring diagram, see if I can figure out what these wires are supposed to be, confirm what I have on the other car, and then hopefully they're all good and I can just swap this out and we'll have wipers again. You want to help? No! Stay down. Okay, looking at this, this is the diagram for the switch, and what it shows me is that the high speed, when it's triggered, power comes directly from the switch and goes directly to the motor. It bypasses the wiper relay, which I didn't realize this had. But that tells me there's a good possibility that this switch is working correctly. So the washer switch works, we know that. This is the variable resistor for auto, but every other function, mist, auto, and low, all go out and come over to this 26-pin wiper relay, which of course is buried under the dash behind the passenger airbag. VR1, VR2, that's variable resistor for the auto. But my guess, looking at this, is we have a problem with the relay, not necessarily with the switch or the motor. I do have a test to do with the motor. There is a test where you can apply power to these pins in a certain order and it'll run on high or it'll run on low. So that'll confirm that the motor's good. And then there are, I believe, going to be some tests we can do to confirm the wiring, but I believe that's good. I don't see any reason why the wiring would be farkled up. We should be able to confirm with these red, white, yellow wires at the relay that they are seeing what they're supposed to from the switch, and that should confirm that it's the relay. But I'm starting to think that the wiper relay is the fault here, not the motor itself, which I guess is good, but because I have another one of those, but I'm not sure if that is good in the other car because I never played with the wipers. I suppose I could plug it back in and hook a battery to it and see if it functions. But yeah, so that's where we're going to go now. We're going to go look and pull the cowling cover off, unhook that connector, put power to the motor itself to see. I know it runs in high, so that works. I'm going to check to make sure that it still runs in low, and if it does when power is supplied, then we're going to have to go start digging in the dash and find this wiper relay and do some tests, see what we got. Alright, so now we're going to check the low speed operation. I've got the positive and negative leads connected the way they're supposed to be on the motor. I took this out just to make it easier. And so, let's see what happens. Seems like low speed. Alright, well, let's connect them up for the high speed. Alright, and this should be high speed. For this. What? Connect the positive terminal to number 2 and the negative terminal to number 1, so B and S plus. Alright. That's what we've got. that's interesting. Not what I expected. Let's check the one that came out of the junk car. Okay, so that's this one is the positive. This one is the negative. Something's not right. Alright, let's check the wiring diagram. I don't think this is correct. Okay, I think we got it figured out before it walks off the table. The instructions are not right. I had to look at the wiring diagram, and then I was able to find where that direct feed from basically the ground is always the same. For whatever reason, they were telling you to switch the ground between those tests, and it doesn't matter. You basically just need power on 5 and ground on 4 for the so power on 5, ground on 4 for the low speed test, which worked. And they say to move the ground to 1 for some reason, but 1 is not grounded, so it doesn't make any sense. But if you put then power on 3 and leave the ground on 4, then it runs fine. So the motors are good, both of them work, so that's not my problem. So I guess I'm going to put that back together. Or, yeah, I suppose I could test here, see what we're getting when the switch is in certain positions. I could do that. And I think maybe that's what I'm going to do now, just to see if, well, I know it's not getting it, because when you apply it properly over here, this thing works. So that's not the issue. So we're going to pop that back in and then start tearing the dash apart, because I really think we're down to the relay. Yeah. Somebody's been here before, because a lot of these screws were not really tight. All this panel, this panel, this panel, and this panel pop off. The airbag comes off with some 3 10mm screws. I'm not unplugging it because you don't have to, even though it says you have to. The bottom panel pops down. The glove box comes off with 5 little tiny screws, 3 across the top and 2 here. 1, 2, and 3. And then you got to figure out how to unplug the trunk lock. And this thing, this was already just hanging there. I think that's a light for the glove box, but it was not latched in properly, so we'll figure that out when we put it back together. But the prize is up here. That thing is the wiper relay, which of course it is. So why is there a huh, that's interesting. This is the first time I've opened this up, but somebody's definitely been here before, because that's a splice. And this connector is not where it's supposed to be, which is a little weird. That's airbag because it's yellow. That's airbag, I would assume, because it's yellow. I don't know why that would have been jacked around with. Let's set this nightmare out of the way so it doesn't stretch the wires. No need to create any other undue carnage while we're in here, although that would be a hell of a video. I don't think the knee airbag on the other one went off, so I'm probably good with that. Yeah, there's the filter, which is barely accessible through the glove box. Yeah, I don't know why that would be like that. I should look that connector up and find out where that wire goes, because that's kind of strange. Yeah, that's just weird that's hanging out like that. But anyway, so we're going to get a 10 millimeter and try to pull this little brackety thing off and see if we can get that relay down. Why this says ABS on it, I don't know. Maybe that's a type of plastic. I don't know. I don't see any green crusties or anything obviously terrible. I'm going to go confirm this is the right part, and then it looks like it can pop out, so we'll pull it out and see if we see anything that's smoked. Alright, there it is. Nothing looks terribly obvious, but we do have some crud on the backside, which I don't really understand. So, I'm going to go do this process to the other one and pull that one out, swap it, and see what happens. Alright, slightly different part number. That one ends with 1051. The one out of the newer car ends with 1052. So let's pop this apart and just see if there's any significant difference internally. I don't know. Let's find out. No real differences I can see. The one out of the older car has less brown crap on the back of it. But I guess we're going to plug it in and see what happens. But otherwise, they look identical as far as the parts and pieces. Okay. Yep. So that one's doing effectively the same thing. So I guess now what I need to do is pull this. No, not pull that. Since I'm in here, I can use that connector to check the switch that it's doing everything it's supposed to be sending back and forth. I know the windshield wiper works. I know the sprayer works. But I'll be able to test the resistor over there, I'll be able to test the low speed, and I'll be able to test the everything else but the high speed, and to see what is going on, because we're doing the same thing. I mean, and it certainly could be that that's dead too, because it has some brown crud on it. And I don't know, I did not think to check the wipers on the other car before I killed it. We'll have to see. But yeah, I'm going to get in there and start testing some of these circuits to make sure this thing's functional. And if this is it, then I need to buy a new one of those relays. Okay, so the variable resistor for auto goes to pins 6 and 7, which I've got probed up there. And if I turn the switch, sorry about the light, we go from 158 ohms, 1 kilo ohm, 1.7 to 2.8. 160, 1 kilo ohm, 2 kilo ohms, 3 kilo ohms basically. So it goes from effectively very little resistance up to 3 kilo ohms in fairly even steps. So that part of that switch is working. Alright, so I know I've got some continuity somewhere, but I am struggling. I got to get a good ground in here somehow, because right now I am trying to track powers and grounds from where it comes in on this blue wire. I know I have power because the high speed works. So to figure out where the power goes with these other positions, and I'm not seeing it. So I gotta get a good ground in here, and then we're gonna test some of those. All right, so right now I've got it set up so that when it's in low or missed, it sends power on that yellow wire from pin 3 on the connector on the stalk to pin 1 on this, which I have there. Let's see what we got. Go to mist, 12 volts, 12 volts. Okay. So, alright, and when I plugged the relay back in, now I've got 12 volts continuous on it. Okay, now there's 12 volts on it. Now there's off. Missed, 12 volts. So, it appears that that switch is doing its thing. But I am not getting outputs from here to the headlight motor, or to the headlight motor, the windshield wiper motor. So it does appear I have a pair of bad windshield wiper relays. So that is what I'm going to order. We're going to get that part number and see how many hundreds of dollars that's going to cost. Well, I went and looked, and that module is $300. So I figured, well, we're going to do some more tests. So I tested the gazintas and gazoutas on this thing, because it goes in from the switch on number 1 and comes out to the motor on number 2. And I noticed that I was seeing that. I was actually seeing it going out to the motor. So I went out here and I checked continuity to here. And I have power and ground going to the motor for low speed. And the motor doesn't run. So I plugged in the other one, and it immediately parked. And if I turn the switch on, that's auto, that's low, and that's missed. Holy smoke. So it's the motor. That's the one out of the other car. That one that's running is out of the junk car. That's the one that came out of here that I put back. It actually does have a bad drive motor, even though it tested good on the bench. I wonder if there's a terminal issue. I wonder if there's an issue inside of the socket, where that cable, that number 5 pin with the power going to it for low speed, is not making good contact. I mean, I just plugged it into here and it works fine, but why would it work on the bench? I don't know, but I don't have to buy a $300 module. That I know, so I'm happy about that. I'm going to pull that other one out and do a little more fiddling with it. All right, there's nothing that I can see that's wrong with the connector on that other one. So we put the unit out of the junk car in it, and everything is functional. Ha! I'm glad I did some more checks, because it bench tested fine. That is the weirdest thing ever. So the module's good, because that's actually the original module I put back in it. not the one from the other car. I suppose I can test the other one now that I know I have a known good. And then we're putting this thing back together, so I'm excited. That was, I'm glad I didn't buy a $300 module. All right, so now we're back in her. I love that little extra bump it gives it when you missed it, or when you use the wipers. There's mist, auto, slow, fast, slow, auto, off, mist. Done. Ha! Man. That car saved me some money already, as I changed out the taillight on this thing, and the top-mounted taillight on these cars is $570 from the dealer. And the one that came with this car had like 10 missing little LEDs, and the one that's on the other car only had about 2. So, I like it. Alright, one more annoyance fixed. Happy about that. So, alright. Like I said, everything's going good with this car. She's running great. Now I got the wipers fixed. Hopefully that'll last for a little while. I'm still going to probably troubleshoot that motor and see what the hell's going on, because it doesn't make sense that it worked on the bench and didn't in the car. So, we will play with that maybe a little later. But, alright. Hope you're all having a good day. Take care.